Welcome to Fresh Set of Downs, PAFootballNews.com's weekly look at high school football from around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. From Philly across to the Burgh, Mansfield down to York, and all areas in between. Whether you're a Bulldog, a Mustang, a Crusader, or a millionaire, hosts Bruce Badgley and Daryl Daniel got you covered. There's just one question. Are you ready?
Okay, and we're back. The new and improved version of Fresh Set of Downs. I can't say enough to the job that Joe Mays has done getting us on the air tonight with our new format. I'm Bruce Badgley, Daryl Daniel, my good buddy Kerry Moyer, who's going to talk to us here a little bit about their upcoming games and last week's game. But you know, we're going to start the show out by, like I said, thanking Pennsylvania Football News for giving us the opportunity here. Joe Mays really put this whole thing together over the last week. We can't thank Joe enough. But tonight we're going to talk, you know, a little bit about last week's game that Kerry and I did. Our first night on Friday Night Live with Berks Catholic and Central Dauphin. We're going to preview our game this Friday, which is Berks Catholic and McDonough out of Maryland. We're going to talk, Daryl and I will go through our games from last week, see how good we did.
See how good we did, yeah, definitely.
And then also we're going to bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Billy Splain. He's going to unveil the Pennsylvania Football News rankings. That's going to be a regular feature that we're going to start this week. And along with that, then we'll go through our preview of games here in District 3 in the upcoming week and some feature games around the state. So without further ado, Daryl, I mean, what do you think about the new digs here? I mean, you're the one that asked for it, so I mean, I blame you for this.
Well, I mean, we are moving up. You know, my goal is to, we are our own little ESPN here, so I love it. I love everything we're doing here. The show every week, like we initially said, is going to get bigger every week. I'm excited about what we got going on here. Excited about what we're going to talk about today. And like we talked about on Twitter, we're going to talk about the rankings coming up here, which is going to be big to kind of see where we are going into the third week of the season. So I'm excited about what we have going on so far. Definitely going to be a great season.
Well, you know, I'm just thrilled about the new format and just getting right started with our buddy Kerry Moyer. Kerry and I do the games on Friday Night Live. And last week we had a fantastic game, really, a knockdown, drag-out struggle. Central Dauphin and Berks Catholic right here in Reading. And Central Dauphin came on top of that game 7-0. Kerry, what were some of your thoughts about, you know, just the overall performance of both teams?
I definitely think it was knock them down, drag them out, dogfight to the end. And, you know, going into the game, you know, the one thing I was really interested in seeing was the Central Dauphin offensive line going up against that Berks Catholic defense. We had a chance to see that Berks Catholic defense scrimmage Governor Mifflin during the scrimmage week, and it was just the intensity when that defense came on the field was just incredible. So for me, being an old O-line guy, I really enjoyed to see that battle up front. And you know, I think we saw early in the game that Central Dauphin really you know, was kind of controlling some of the things up front. On defense, Central Dauphin was playing a lot of the first half in the Berks Catholic side of the line of scrimmage when Central Dauphin was on defense. But then we just saw a dogfight, saw both teams kind of level out, and it was back and forth. And you know, tip of the cap to both of those teams. You know, Burkhardt, our AstroTurf player of the game, you know, did get over 100 yards on the night, scored the lone touchdown in the game. But those were all hard-fought yards, and you know, we were hoping you know, that there was going to be a playmaker making a big play. I believe, you know, McFoy had about 59-yard punt return, I believe, at one time, and but really, you know, we didn't see anything that, you know, was a big, you know, cross the 50 and go the distance type of big play. So it was just a back and forth dogfight.
Daryl, questions?
Well, one of the things that I noticed, like you said, in the D-line play for Central Dauphin, what do you think as far as Berks Catholic's offensive line? How do you feel they played against that front, especially number 73? He got a lot of penetration.
Yeah, 73 definitely, and I think don't want to steal the thunder of this week. We're going to see a very similar type of player coming up. And again, when you look at the blocking scheme, with Berks Catholic, they're trying to take advantage of getting angles and not just necessarily, going, man for man on that. And that's it. Penetration just, can kill an offense before it gets started. And I think we saw more of that in the first half that started to level out. But, it was the penetration that, Central Dauphin's defense got. Yeah, and I mean, when you looked at the tackling, with Central Dauphin too, it was really gang tackling going on. And I know we talked about Burkhart, as far as his performance on offense at running back, but going back and watching some of the clips later, he's a beast on defense too. And at linebacker, his run fits and the way he filled, was kind of lights out.
And I think going into the game, Berks Catholic knew it was going to be a physical game. They were very disciplined. I think Central Dauphin is one of those teams that they're content to play the field position game, and they're going to do what they do. And are you going to be patient? Are you going to be able to stay in the game and just stay with your defense, stay with your game plan, kind of like Governor Mitchell did last year? They're going to do what they do. They might throw the ball 3 or 4 times a game. They don't care. They're going to play defense. They're going to play field position. They're going to punt. They're going to kick, and eventually they feel like they're going to break them. So that's going to be a tough to beat. Going down the road with Central Dauphin, as they start to pick up momentum. That defense is very tough. They got a good game coming up this week. I think it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play that kind of game, though, you got to play mistake-free football.
Yes, definitely.
And that is what Berks Catholic did not do, unfortunately. I mean, 2 fourth-quarter turnovers in the CD end of the field really hurt them. But it was a great game. I'm going to bring our partner in crime over there, Joe Mays, in for a brief question here. Joe, you saw CD and Wilson the previous week. I mean, what's your take on CD after 2 weeks of action?
So far, I think they've been a little bit of a surprise from the talk that I had with Eric Thomas, who is the broadcaster for the Central Dauphin games. They thought that this would be a little bit of a building year for them, and that they weren't quite ready to get over the hump. But after the first 2 weeks, I think they performed better than expected by everyone. They looked very, very strong against Wilson. The best thing for them was that they got better as the game progressed. They looked good in the first half, but in the second half they took it to another level, and no one could compete with them then. And then I watched some of the highlights that you guys did last week with them between the Berks Catholic and Central Dauphin, and that defense. When we're turning 7 or 8 starters, then at the beginning of the year you're going to be at the top, and that's exactly what Central Dauphin is. They've been really impressive, and Burkhart, your player of the game last week, has been lights out, one of the best players across the state. So Central Dauphin actually may be arriving a year early, which for the Rams and for that Mid-Penn conference, after a little bit of a down year for them last year at 6-5, I think they're building for the future, and they might actually overachieve in 2018.
Yeah, they definitely, I think, are exceeding expectations thus far. But let's get into our game this week, Kerry. Well, you can't fault Berks Catholic for not, going after the big boys. Going after a 6A opponent in Central Dauphin. Now McDonough out of Owings Mills, Maryland, a top-flight program. Kerry, tell us a little bit about McDonough. You and I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Sewell on Labor Day. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely, and just need to restate it again. Tip of the cap to Berks Catholic. They have certainly not taken the easy way out as far as scheduling. With both CD and now McDonough. And no, it's a great conversation with Coach, and it's his first year as a head coach. He's been on the staff for, I believe, 9 years. He was an alum. He played there, also played ball at the University of Maryland, and I think one of the big pieces is he's really taking a hands-on approach with the offense, they're making some modifications there with what they're doing. But you know, the defense, a lot of the same guys back on the staff, and they're just they're nasty, they're aggressive, and they get after it.
Yeah, you know, they're led by their quarterback, Chris Jenner, 6'5" quarterback. Look like he can make all the throws. Curtis Jacobs, a wide receiver, 6'3", 220. That's something you don't see too often in high school football. 6'3", a lot of times they put the ball in his hands often. They move him around from the outside receiver to the slot, to that third position. He also plays free safety on defense. They're very physical, like Kerry was saying. And then they have Will Johnson, a running back. Very athletic guy. I mean, he goes downhill.
He runs away from everyone.
Oh yeah, he's not. I mean, so he's hitting the whole 1,000 miles per hour. So either he's going to hit you or he's going to break it. So they're very well equipped. Obviously, those are some of their offensive guys, but like Kerry was talking about, they also have a great defensive line, and so it's going to be a tough out for Berks guys.
Yeah, they said they start 3 freshmen on the defensive line, but when they come in off the bus, you won't know that they're freshmen. I mean, these guys are look like they're future D1 guys easily. And the very interesting thing about the team too, Coach said they have only got 640 students in the school. They got 49 guys out for the team, yet most of those are really freshmen and you know, JVs. So, you know, as far as numbers go, boy, they don't have the quantity, but boy, they sure got the quality over there. And all right, Kerry, what do you think Berks Catholic's got to do to win this game?
Well, and again, when you look at obviously, you know, McDonough had a great week 1 there, got the win over Archbishop Wood. Only played half a game last week. It was cut short due to weather, you know. But so again, that experience factor. So let's take a look at the quarterbacks. This is again, their guys all have the physical tools, you know, the measurables there. This is the first year starting for the quarterback. You know, on the flip side of that, I look at Terry Durr, and you know, I talked to you about this a little bit, you know, last week, Bruce, and said some things during our live Friday Night Live broadcast as well. The veteran leadership that I think he brings to the table is definitely a factor in this game. And you know, when you look at the things that he did, and you know, I watched the whole game. I wasn't watching from a monitor, so I could see all the things. The veteran leadership, as far as like what he was doing, not forcing balls, and you know, his selection of things, and just the timing that he has, you know, especially, you know, Luke Payton, the tight end that's already committed to Columbia. I think that's an advantage Berks Catholic has with some of the veteran folks there. Again, you know, with you know, the measurables, those D linemen, and again, there's one specifically that stands out. Their senior, Devon Ellis. You know, he's got D1 offers from, you know, just about everybody. If you look at the crystal ball report, you know, it's saying Ohio State. Watching him, you know, similar to what we saw last week with Central Dauphin, 73 again penetration. Yeah, this kid's a player. You know, and obviously, you know, I'm going to tweet after this and talk a little bit about some of these individual players from McDonough. And also a little bit of the Penn State and Pitt connection, since it's Penn State Pitt week, with some of these guys. But they need to find a way. Berks Catholic needs to find a way. You're not going to stop the kid, you know. But just being able. You know, again, I know the hotbed question right now in Pennsylvania is playoffs and looking at, you know, public schools and non-public schools and stuff. But I think nationwide, you see a lot of coaches weighing in. You know, a lot of, you know, from the college to the high school level about 3-sport athletes, and that's one of the questions we ask Coach. He's got great athletes. You know, a lot of these guys are not just football guys. They're also playing a lot of other sports at the school too, as evidenced by, you know, their backer getting, you know, getting the commit to Penn State for lacrosse.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, I think a classic game. Clearly, I think, you know, McDonough would go into the game in favor. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because of what they're bringing to the table and what they have. So, but it's going to be a tough game. I think those guys from last week, the CD, they understand what they have to do. It's a matter of going out and getting it done.
Well, I think that we spent enough time on our games of the week there. I'm sure each week, we'll have some good comments about the games coming up. I know we have some really good games. Even the following week, we're doing Wilson and Manheim Central. I'm sure that's gonna tickle Joe's fancy over there. I'm sure he's gonna be a big time part of that broadcast. Not only at Fresh Set of Downs, but he's going to be one of our sideline reporters. We're going to break that aspect of our programming in for Friday Night Live. So not only are we improving our programming here on Fresh Set of Downs, going to improve things on Friday Night Live. We're trying to bring across the best product that we can for you fans. I think everybody's asking for a good product. We're doing the best we can, and we appreciate your support. We appreciate all of your comments. Gary, thanks a lot. Appreciate your time tonight. And we'll move on to our recap of this last week. A very interesting week here in District 3. And we're going to start off really by a game that Joe was at. It was Wilson actually beating Governor Mifflin 42-28. Daryl had that one pick. I picked Governor Mifflin. Joe knows why I picked Governor Mifflin. But what were your thoughts on that game, Joe?
Well, I mean, it started off, I think, pretty much how we expected it to go. It was back and forth. It was low scoring. The teams were feeling each other out. The defenses were playing a little bit better than the offenses were. And things got going once Wilson got the running game going, which is to be expected. Once Wilson got Elijah Morales into open space, he was gone, basically untouched. He ended up with 3 touchdowns on the ground, over 200 yards rushing, 217 to be exact. So I think he gets a little bit of mention of the PA Football News Keystone Club for his 200-yard rushing performance. And unfortunately, maybe the biggest storyline overshadowing the Wilson win was the loss of Nick Johnson, Wilson's biggest player, a huge returner, two-way starter, tight end, and inside linebacker, and he was lost for the season with a broken leg, and we do not expect to see him back, even if the Bulldogs would make a playoff run. So a big loss there on and off the field for sure. But guys stepped in, stepped up, and took care of the business. And the Gursky Glynn Trophy is back in West Lawn, where I know the Wilson coaches and players are happy to see it reside back in the high school office.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game. I mean, you know both these teams very well, Daryl. I mean, what do you think of the outcome?
Elijah Morales, again, I spent the offseason training our team. Did a great job in the offseason along with all those other guys. And Nick Johnson, we did a lot of one-on-one training also. So for all the work he put in for this to happen, I know it's tough. I texted him and talked to him the other day. Told him I love him like he was a brother to me. I know his spirits are down, but everything happens for a reason. So we're going to find a positive out of it. He'll be fine. We'll work through this together. Elijah Morales had a great game. But I was a little disappointed Governor Mifflin, though, as hard as they work, I know Coach Lang does a great job over there. I know they're a little bit disappointed about the outcome. But again, those guys, they have to stay positive over there. They still have opportunity for 2 games. So you can't mail it in after 2 games. You got to stay positive, continue to fight. You guys have worked hard. It'll come around. You play 2 tough opponents to start the season, but they'll be fine. Just got to stay tough. They really worked hard, and their time is coming. So, but it's tough to hear that anytime a player goes down, especially after the offseason Nick Johnson had.
Yeah, Governor Mifflin's next opponent is Cocalico. They had a pretty convincing win over the team that beat Governor Mifflin pretty handily the week before. Both of us picked Cedar Cliff. They lost, so you have to give Cocalico a lot of credit. Another game of the week that we had, Central York, Cumberland Valley. I saw a lot of Central York, this summer. I picked them to win the game. They did. Boy, I like that quarterback, Kate Perbula. I mean, he's doing a really good job over there. Really like to see those guys, step up and, be that team, or some team out of the York Adams League come forward. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Cade had a great game. He was a great leader out there, but someone York is looking very well. So I think one of those teams, it'd be nice what we talked about. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it'd be nice for one of those York teams to step up and get it done this year. And Central York is rolling right now. They have another tough game coming up this week, but I think they look very good.
Yeah, they do. The one that I was glad that we put on the schedule last week to pick was Ephrata and Northern Lebanon. We both picked Ephrata. I don't know whether we were doing it with our heart or doing it with our head. Right. We wanted the streak to end. It did. Wow, in a big way.
Yeah, big time.
So, very happy about that.
61 points still.
60. What was the last time Ephrata scored 61 points? Anybody out there, go ahead. I mean, we do this on Twitter so that we can get input from you fans, questions, comments, and in this particular case, asking when was the last time that Ephrata scored 60 points, because I sure don't know.
Yeah. But like I said, that coaching staff, those guys are a great group of guys. It's bound to happen. I think that Ephrata is in the correct conference now, correct section now, and I think it's going to give them those guys opportunity. They really bust their butt. They really work hard out there. And it's going to give them an opportunity to be successful. And I'm happy for that program to get back, because I know when I was in high school we played them, there was always tough games. So to see them get that win, and hopefully they can build some momentum and then just go from there. I can see them maybe going 500 and being a 500 team this year.
And our last game that we're taking a look back at, Harrisburg. Wow, they just put a licking on Reading High, hung a 74 on Reading High. God, I feel sorry for Reading High. I mean, they played two tough opponents to start. They lost to York. York High, who's a good team. They lost to Harrisburg. Reading High is one that's got there's a lot of games left. A new coach over there. They got to hang in there. Harrisburg, I think that they definitely were a little bit upset that they got beat week 1 at home. So that's a very interesting game. So next up, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Billy Spillane. Billy's going to be joining us here shortly to talk about the state rankings, which we're going to unveil here. The PA Football News state rankings, and that'll include both East and West. Just to let you know, PA Football News works in conjunction with westernpafootball.net to bring you, I think the first week Billy said we did 50 games. Pretty tremendous stuff. So it's live, it's in person, it's video highlights. So trying to get everything we can, to you fans as best as we can.
And I think the biggest thing that we talked about a little bit, we're going to slowly start to expand across the state and include some of the other districts and things of that nature. But we're off to a great start. I think it's going to be a great season. So that's important.
Okay, live on the phone right now, we got Billy Spillane. How you doing, Billy?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? How's it going?
Wow, amazing technology here. Quite honestly, I never thought we were going to have this happen, but thanks to Joe Mays once again. But Billy, I'm going to let you take it from here. Which classification are you going to start with first?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Joe Mays for helping us out and get this going. It's a great thing, and I can't stop but tell everybody how much I appreciate you guys joining in with us. Daryl and of course Carrie, everybody's doing a great job. So let's start right off with the single A classification.
Okay.
All right, for 1A, our first Pennsylvania Football News rankings, the number 1 team is Farrell.
Are you gonna put the graphic up on there, Joel?
The way I have it,
Hello?
I have all 6 at
You
one
guys still
time.
hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you, Billy.
Hello?
Yeah, we got you, Billy.
All right. So the number 1 team is Farrell. Farrell's 2-0. They're coming off a big win against another team that we're going to hear about in a couple of minutes, Wilmington. Team number 2, the Clairton Bears. I think the Clairton Bears are back. They're playing some good football. They were the unfortunate, I don't know what you would call it, recipients of a forfeit last week. So let's move on to number 3 is Our Lady of Sacred Heart out in District 7. They've got a powerhouse team with Tyler Bradley at quarterback. He's doing a great job out there, and they have a really nice team. Williams Valley in District 11. They're back on top in Single A down there. They're coming in at 2-0. Number 5 is South Williamsport. South Williamsport always has a strong team. We expect them to run deep into the playoffs. Number 6 is a team that is a mystery to me right now, but I think we're going to find out real quick this weekend. It's Imani Christian. They are from District 7. They've scored 80 points in the first week of the season.
Oh, wow.
Last week they scored 38 points in a game that was shortened by 1/2 due to the heat. They had several kids pass out on the field.
Wow.
They're all better now, so we're happy about that. Their big test this week is coming up. Rochester comes in at number 7. They're always a powerhouse out in the WPIAL, 2-0. Tri-Valley, the Bulldogs at number 8 down in District 11. We're going to see Williams Valley and Tri-Valley go head-to-head here in a couple of weeks, and that should be an interesting game. Number 9, the Portage Mustangs. Portage always has a strong team. Coach Gauss out there, he runs that offense very well. They're just a pounding ground kind of team. And at number 10, the defending state champions, the Jeanette Jayhawks. That's the team I was talking about. Imani Christian will bang up against them this Friday night in what is a very highly anticipated matchup. So that's our first top 10 in Single A for PA football news.
Wow, amazing. And I can't thank, as you said, Billy, I can't thank Joe Mays enough for getting this all together. On the 2A side, obviously the Southern Columbia, defending state champion, odds-on favorite. Talk about some of the rest of the teams in 2A.
Well, number 1 is Southern Columbia. The Tigers, they're a machine. They've got one of the top-ranked recruits in the class of 220, and I don't think that they're going to slow down at all. I do not see a roadblock for them until the playoffs. And number 2, the team Southern Columbia faced in the state championship last year, the Greyhounds of Wilmington, up in District 10. They've got a very strong team. Can they compete with Southern Columbia if they make it? I think it might be a closer game this year than last year, but we're not in the playoffs right now, so we can't even put either team in there because, in high school football, anything can happen. Isn't that right, Daryl?
Definitely. We know that we talked about that a little bit last week. You have so many different elements to deal with. So
coming in at number 3, Ligonier Valley. These are all the usual suspects in 2A out in the western side of the state. The Rams, they just suffered some heartbreak. They lost one of their team captains in an unfortunate accident just before spring or summer practice started. Joey Dubix drowned in a boating accident. So we do feel bad with them, but they're playing with their hearts on their sleeves, and they're letting this again. Coming in at number 4, Steel Valley. The Ironmen won the state championship a couple of years ago. They've got top linebacker in the state, Todd Hill, and he's running all over people right now. Steel Valley is back. Number 5, the Bucks of Dunmore. The Bucks are always strong. They run that pounding ground running game, and Dunmore, they're a perennial favorite every year. Coming in at number 6 is kind of a new team, the Richland Rams. Richland has a nice team. They return a lot of players. They've got a big lineman who's got a lot of D1 offers in Dylan Danini. So we expect big things. Now, Richland has a big test this weekend when they go up against Forest Hills, who, of course, has one of the top quarterbacks in the state, Adam Cesari. Forest Hills is coming off of a win, but the first week they took a surprising loss to 2A Chestnut Ridge, who we really didn't think was going to be much of anything out in the West, but now they're 2-0. Number 8, how can you not put Steel and Heisler in the top 10 in our countdown? They're there every year. I see you see them deep in the playoffs every year. They have a great quarterback. I believe he's a freshman, if I'm incorrect. Correct me on that, Bruce, if I'm wrong.
Like a sophomore?
I think it's a sophomore.
Yeah, I think it's a sophomore.
We'll have to check that.
9,
We'll definitely check that.
Sharpsville. Sharpsville has one of the best offensive tackles in the country in Jaquay Hubbard. They do not play this week. Well, actually, no, I'm wrong. They just had a game today. They're playing a team from Ohio. So they did have an open week with that change. And number 10 is the Ridgeway Johnsonburg Elkers up in District 9. Ridgeway just seems to put together some kind of team every year. They're out in the middle of nowhere. They're one of these small schools. I think they have like 120 boys in their class, but every year Ridgeway is there. So that's our 2A top 10 for PA football news.
Wow, and you know, it's great to see you in 3A. You know, one of the classic teams in Pennsylvania football. Aliquippa on top there, but boy, that's going to be a real battle with Middletown. They're two-time actually runner-up in 3A there, Daryl. What do you think?
Yeah, Middletown that's gonna be a tough game, and then they got McDevitt this week, so I'm very, very interested to see how they do in that game. But Middletown, I think they reload a little bit. I've heard a little bit of things that they have coming in, the running back they have over there, but I think it's going to be a very, very, very good season.
Yeah, why don't you do the rest of the rundown there, Billy?
Well, let me start off with, let's go back up to number 1 and 2. You guys are talking about Middletown and Aliquippa. I saw Aliquippa play in week 1, and I saw film of them in week 2. Boy, I'll tell you what, with that the new coach out there putting a spread offense at Aliquippa, which is a traditional running team. They have an athlete out there named MJ Devonshire who is just unstoppable. He ran 3 punts back for touchdowns last week. You would think after 2 that team would have stopped kicking to him, but they did not. So let's move on to number 3, Scranton Prep. We like Scranton Prep. We like what they're doing up there. They've got a good program going on. Number 4 is Mercyhurst Prep. Of course, Mercyhurst Prep, they're a Cumberland Lately team. They had some good recruits last year. One of them went to Penn State. They're going to have a good year again, I think. Conwell Egan at number 5. I'm going to let you guys talk about Conwell Egan.
Yeah, clearly they're back with a vengeance this year. From District 12, Philadelphia area, they just seem to be packed every single year, Daryl. What do you think?
Right, and I guess last year, 2 years ago, they were in the state championship in India, so they want that state championship back. And I was thinking earlier when I was driving down here, I said, that 3A looks very even. That looks very even. Of course, you have Aliquippa out there, a historic team, but it looks very even. And a lot of these teams now, kind of like they're playing really tough opponents to set themselves up for these playoffs. It's going to be interesting. These guys are going to be battle tested early.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, that whole 3A bracket, wow. I mean, that's even Sharon there at 1-1. I mean, that's a good ball club as well, Billy. And you get down into North Catholic from District 7. Boy, I'm hearing a lot of great things about them.
Yeah, North Catholic has some studs this year on the line, and they have a good linebacker recruit actually, and they're loaded and ready to go. They want to make their claim at the title. Now, actually, they moved up a class this year. They were 2A last year, but this year they're a 3A team. So we'll see how they compete in 3A. That's what we're going to be watching that. That's going to be very interesting for us this year. You've got North Schuylkill. Boy, he just does a good job there. And they're coming off some big-time wins. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, they, you got to love the teams from the coal region. I mean, they're just tough every year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you've got Lewisburg. Lewisburg Lewisburg is off to one of the best starts in the past several years. They also, when you're talking about these teams, you have to talk about the recruits. Dylan Fortunato, he's a lights out D1 recruit, plays really strong. I will actually be going to visit Lewisburg this weekend at my favorite stadium, Bucknell campus. They play Mount Carmel this year, this week. So that's my game of the week, Lewisburg versus Mount Carmel at Christy Matheson Stadium. Number 10, let's talk about number 10, Bald Eagle Area. Bald Eagle Area is a team that is going to surprise some people this year. They're very deep. They have very good, skilled people. They're strong. Their head coach, Jesse Nagel, is a descendant of the state college program. He coached under Matt Littell, and he's got that program turned around and going in the right direction. Their quarterback, Jaden Jones, he's thrown 2 weeks in a row now, over 300 yards, and he's just ripping it up. And they're having a good season. So that's our 3A top 10 for PA Football News.
Wow. Moving on to 4A. Wow, this is just talk about a star-studded classification. Obviously, Imhotep out of District 12. They played a couple of tough games. They won against LaSalle College to start. DeMatha, Maryland came in last week. They had a little bit of trouble with them, but DeMatha is a national powerhouse. You got to give credit to Imhotep for scheduling that game. And then out your way, Billy, Cathedral Prep. They've got to replace, quite a few players off of a state championship team last year. What do you think about that?
I think they had a slow start. Now, remember, they did lose in week 1, Cathedral Prep. However, and I'm not making excuses for them, but they did not have a scrimmage this year. And I don't care who you are, that can hurt a team. So they came into that game against Central Catholic, which is one of the top 60 teams in the state, with no scrimmage under their belt. It was their first live action. You could see some of the bumps and problems that they had. But I think they're back on track. We'll find out this week. They play a tough school in St. Edwards out in Ohio, always a national powerhouse. So we're going to see what Cathedral Prep is made out of this week, guys.
Definitely going to see that.
Yeah, and
number 3.
Yeah, number 3, Bishop
McDevitt.
Yep.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Really veteran ball club, veteran leadership at quarterback, Division I recruits everywhere, on that team, Daryl. Boy, they've really got a pretty solid team. They're going up against this week. They're going up against number 2 and 3A Middletown. That is probably one of the marquee matchups here in the eastern part of the state this week. Daryl, what do you think about that matchup?
Yeah, a state matchup, like we just talked about, but I think that game is going to tell us a lot about what Bishop McDevitt has because of that offense that they run. It's a little bit similar to what Berks Catholic does. So Middletown, they're a very, very physical team. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play very good defense. They're going to cover well. So it's going to be interesting to see if Bishop McDevitt can be where they are, spread them out and throw the ball. I know they had an injury in the backfield last game also, so they had to move one of their stars tonight in the backfield. So that takes away one of their receivers too. So it's going to be interesting to see what McDevitt does coming up.
Yeah, and all right, your hometown Berwick, Billy. What do you got to say about them?
The Bulldogs have it going on right now. They've got a tough matchup coming up in a couple of weeks with Valley View coming to the dog pound. Berwick is they seem to be back on track and in form that we're used to seeing the Berwick Bulldogs have. They're having some good time. However, they have got a schedule that is a brutal schedule. They've got Sealands Grove coming up. They've got Wyoming Valley West coming up, and then they have Valley View. So it doesn't get much tougher than that in District 2 for a team. Pick number 5, Daryl.
Yeah, we got Bethlehem Catholic. Historically, they've always been there. they've had players from years, even back to my time I was playing. I remember some of the quarterbacks they had there. A couple guys I played with in the Big 33. Bethlehem Catholic was in there last year, so they're going to be tough. Them, surprised not to see Allentown Central Catholic in there, but that game every year, that's a big rivalry game. So it'll be interesting to see what Bethlehem Catholic does coming out of that division over there, District 11.
Yeah, and Berks Catholic at number 6. Carrie and I will see them, this week. It's going to be interesting to see how they match up against this powerhouse team, McDonough, that we talked about. And then, Billy, you've got a good line on Valley View.
Valley View is a strong team. They are always strong up there. They're 2-0. They've got a favorable schedule coming in. They play up there with the North Poconos and everybody, and I expect them to be undefeated when they get to Berwick in 3 weeks. So that's going to be one heck of a matchup there.
And I think the rest of the teams are out your way. Clearfield, South Fayette.
Clearfield, I had the pleasure of watching until after 10 o'clock last Friday night. It was a long and very score-filled game. Clearfield came out on top. Now, of course, they've got a running back who ran for 5 touchdowns last week. Isaac Rummery is a quarterback who he's got an offer from Howard. He throws the ball well, he runs the ball well, and of course Tim Dinoco, he's one of the masterminds in football. He just runs, he knows how to guide his team and get wins out of them. South Fayette, can't say enough about South Fayette. Now, if you remember correctly, about 4 or 5 years ago, South Fayette came down to Hershey and they tore Imhotep Charter apart.
I remember that game.
They've got a quarterback that can throw the ball. They've got an all-state kicker in Joe Mowat. They have several weapons at their hand. That 4A classification out in District 7 is going to be a battle because right now, Thomas Jefferson, boy, they have got it going on. 61 points last week. The Jaguars are just mowing down the opponents. It's going to be a battle, I think, out that way between South Fayette and Thomas Jefferson to see who will face the Beach Prep and move on to the title game, much like it was last year.
Wow. And, 5A, it's been a while since I've seen a 5A team 0-1, number 1, but Archbishop Wood, their loss was against the team that Berks Catholic is facing this week. McDonough, I think McDonough even does a round robin with Malvern Prep as well. So, Archbishop Wood out of District 12, I mean, that's the 2-time defending state champion that went down on their home field to McDonough. But Archbishop Wood, they're loaded again. Clearly, Billy, them being number 1, I think is the right call.
I'm interested to see how they perform this year. We all know their head coach moved on. He's over at Ursinus right now, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they perform going down the stretch. Like you said, they played McDonough. They took it on the chin. We know a little bit about McDonough, so let's wait and see what happens this week. I think that'll give us a better gauge on where Archbishop Wood actually stands, because we know what Berks Catholic has. They're going to face the same team that beat Archbishop Wood, so that's going to be our judge. Number 2, Gateway. Gateway, they lost their quarterback last year, who got them to Hershey, but don't forget, they've got Derek Davis. He's a running back. He's just a sophomore, and he's kicking butt out there for Gateway. They have some great wide receivers, so that always helps the incoming quarterback when you've got a veteran receiving core. Number 3, Penn Hills. Penn Hills has Hollis Mathis at quarterback. He's a Howard commit. He's going to play for the Bison when he's done with high school football, but Hollis Mathis has it going on. They went out to Ohio on week 1, and they beat a very good Ohio team in Steubenville. So that does say a lot, and I've been waiting for a signature win from the Penn Hills, and I think that was it. So it's going to be interesting, and this again is going to be another battle because Penn Hills and Gateway will face each other coming on later on in the season. So I like that pick at number 3, Penn Hills. That's going to be a battle. Number 4, Manheim Central. Manheim Central, every year, they just keep grinding out the players and grinding out the wins. They are a team that has remained constant and consistent from the 1980s. Tell me a little bit about Manheim Central, Bruce.
I can't wait to see him, that's for sure.
What's that, Joe?
I can't wait to see him a week from Friday, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's not getting ahead of ourselves, Billy, but Manheim Central and Wilson are a week from this Friday here on Friday Night Live. Daryl's got some unique perspective on Manheim Central. He spent a lot of the time on the team. What do you think about that team, Daryl?
Yeah, I spent some time this offseason working with that team, working with the receivers. Got some time to spend time with Evan Simon. One thing I will say, they are not looking past Ward. Because if you look down a little bit farther, they are in the top 10. So I will tell you, Manheim Central was not looking past Ward. They fully understand. Once they got done, when that clock hit 0 at Hempfield, the next thing that we were talking about was Ward. So they understand fully what they have with Rucci out there, tight end. They reloaded. They got a young quarterback there that's a good athlete. So they got a tough team. Evan Simon, Tyler Flick, do their job. And then defensively, they're solid on defense. They got athletes all over the place. So there's a lot of guys. I think people are underestimating, I think, on that team. They got some talent on that team. So
that Warwick team is incredible. They were when I was writing the preview for PA Football News a few weeks ago, going over them and previewing them, I was very intrigued by what they were bringing back to the table this year. I'm excited to see what they can do against Manheim Central this week, and I'm not necessarily looking forward to having Wilson go to Warwick because Wilson has struggles down a little, but I mean it's going to be a great game. I think Warwick may be the team to beat in the Lancaster Lebanon League. I know everyone was pointing at Wilson and Manheim Township, but I honestly think Warwick might be that team. I think they have a team kind of like Township had last year. I think Warwick's ready to go to battle, and I know they've had great games so far, but we're definitely going to find out how good Warwick is this week against Manheim Central.
Yeah, I picked Warwick to win the Lancaster Lebanon League Section 1. I think they got enormous talent. We'll have that game. We're going to in our pick'em section after we conclude here with the state rankings. But another Western team out there, Hollidaysburg. Billy, what do they got?
They're coming off a big season, and they got almost their entire team back. I think the biggest loss to graduation they had here last year was the lad Hilling, their kicker. He is now at Penn State. They've got a great quarterback in Brady, and he's doing some nice things out there. Their line is good. They're strong. They've got a set of twins actually playing linebacker, and they are lights out. They play good. They just turn it on. Now we're going to see what Hollidaysburg is made of this Friday night when they take on State College. State College, of course, is a very strong team. So, Albert Gardner, he's got to go on. And Hollidaysburg, they play an independent schedule. They're in no man's land without Tula. They really don't have anywhere that they can play 5A teams in a league, so they have to travel. Hollidaysburg at number 5, and I like that placement for them. I think they're going to be there at the end of the year.
Yeah, probably the best team nobody's ever heard of is Springfield Delco. I mean, they've really elevated that program, down there in District 1, and a lot of people here in District 3 are starting to take notice because of the new playoff format and all these District 1 teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they fulfill down on the conference schedule. And then, Billy, you've got a couple more District 7 teams there in 7 and 8.
Yeah, Franklin Regional, every year Franklin Regional puts it together. They're kind of a mystery this year, but I talked to their head coach, and he seems to think they've got some athletes, they've got a great linebacking core, and we're going to play some defensive football in Franklin Regional. And after Franklin Regional, we'll play McKeesport. I got to see them in week 0 also. I cannot say enough about the McKeesport offense. They just run that triple option, and they run it well. You can't stop their quarterback. They're big-time athletes. He just keeps going and going and going and going. McKeesport is a good team. They played well. They beat a very good Erie team. So I like this. I like those guys. Kanata Goskins, he is just an everything all athlete for McKeesport, and he just does a great job. He does. McKeesport, they're going to be in the mix at the end of the year, too.
And
talk about East Stroudsburg South. Boy, what a team they've got this year, huh?
Yeah, they have. And, I mean, you know, out of District 11, it seems to be, you know, a regular occurrence here that we've got some of these District 11 teams, you know, in the top 10. Seems like the talent level has really been elevated out there in the last year. And then we talked about Warwick. I mean, them up against Manheim Central this week. What a titanic matchup that is in 5A here in District 3. What do you think, Daryl?
Yeah, and they're like right around the corner from each other too. So it's like a backyard. It's kind of like the Burns Catholic YMS game. So they're close. A lot of those guys know each other. A lot of those guys grew up playing midget football together. So, you know, one of the things I think people don't know about is, you know, at particularly Manhattan Central, they got a young quarterback, Will Rivers. They have the twins, the Wagner twins, Ben and Colby. So a lot of first-time guys. Well, Will's not a first-time guy, but they got a lot of young guys there. So they're going to be a very good team. They're going to be tough to beat. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, see what they can be able to, you know, Rucci over there or playing at DN, outside linebacker spot. So he's going to be a tough guy to handle. So, but I think both teams will be prepared. It's going to be a big game.
Well, it was appreciate the comment there, Mr. Andy Brackets. I mean, they wouldn't get that top 10 ranking if they didn't deserve it. That's a real good team there, your alma mater.
Right.
And we'll just move on to 6A here, a team that, you know, that I saw a couple weeks ago at Harrisburg was Coatesville. I am so glad that Pennsylvania Football News put Coatesville on the 6A #1 because in my view, and I think in a lot of people's view, right now that's the best team in the state. I don't know how you can rank a team #1 when they haven't played and haven't shown anybody anything, but totally impressive ball club over there, not only on offense, but people forget that's a pretty gosh darn good defensive ball club there. That Nick Thompson, maybe the most impressive defensive player, that middle linebacker for them that I've seen this year so far. What are your thoughts on Coatesville there, Daryl?
Well, like we talked about, Coatesville is loaded on defense. A lot of those guys, what people don't realize is they're 2- and 3-year starters. They have a sophomore group, a group that came up as sophomores, along with Nick Thompson and those guys. They look very good on the back end. They have athletes all over the field. They're very deep. And with the coaching staff, with Ortega, the defensive coordinator, he does a good job over there. They do a great job. So they're going to be prepared every week. They game plan hard. They spend time studying film. They might change the game plan up during the game, but they can do that because a lot of times when you have guys that's been in the program 2 and 3 years and know the system, especially on offense, there's almost no such bad situation. And so I think after the St. Joe's, you know, I think they're up at 28-10 at one point. I don't see that happening again. Again, St. Joe's is St. Joe's. So, but again, I don't think Coatesville knows they are not looking past Cumberland Valley. 2 years in a row, Cumberland Valley, they had them beat last year, and then Cumberland Valley pulled it off at the end of the game. So they're not looking past Cumberland Valley. I talked to Ricky Ortega yesterday, and he understands what that game means. So they're not looking past that. They understand what they do have. But they're smart enough, and they have enough leadership where they understand we can't look past Cumberland Valley because Cumberland Valley will be prepared to play them.
Yeah, and at #2, St. Joe Prep here from obviously District 12. They've got a big matchup against, I believe, a team from New Jersey and
Bergen Catholic, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be quite the test for them, but. Then, Billy, obviously, Pine Richland at #3, they had a little tough luck with IMG to start, but they looked impressive last week, didn't they?
Boy, I'll tell you what, IMG was everything that we thought they were going to be. We had a reporter there, and he said the same exact thing. this game might have been interesting last year. I still don't think Pine Richland would have competed with them. IMG is a different message or a different machine. But let's go back up to number 1 in Coatesville. We talk about the defense. Boy, you can't overlook that quarterback in Ricky Ortega. That kid just goes and goes and goes. He is a great player and a phenomenal athlete. And I think that's one of the reasons that we put him at put those guys at number 1. He just does a great job out there. Pine Richland, they've got almost their entire line back from last year. So anytime you have a line that is that good, I mean, they've got 3 Division I linemen, one of them going to Notre Dame. They've got some pretty good athletes back there. Also at running back, they had to replace, of course, the top quarterback in the country, Phil Dragovic. But, Pine Richland, they've got a machine going on up there. Their facilities are phenomenal. Their training program is great. They're in a good spot right now for the Rams. Number 4, State College. State College is in it every year. Matlin Tell does a great job with this team. They've got some studs out there, and I'll tell you what, State College looks really good. I think they look better than they did last year. I think this is a team that can make some noise and get back to Hershey. Of course, they were in Hershey a few years back, about 9 years back, and they lost in a complete whiteout. It was a very, very snowy game, but I look for Matt Littell to have the Little Lions right up top.
Yeah, Parkland, they're at number 5. I mean, another District 11 powerhouse. I mean, they won the title game just a couple years ago against Pittsburgh Central Catholic and gave them a tussle. But historically strong.
Yeah, I got to
Joe, you saw them in a scrimmage. What do they look like?
They're an interesting team. When I saw that they were ranked in the top 5 in the class, I think entering the season, I was a little surprised just because I hadn't heard about any of their big name guys, and I think this is an interesting Parkland squad because on paper, I'm not sure one guy stands out above the rest like they usually have. I can think back to when I was playing, it was Austin Scott. Austin Scott was that big guy from Parkland, 15 plus years ago. And they've had a few over the receiver quarterback the last few years. But this year, it seems to be a true team identity. They just play incredible team football. They look great in the scrimmage. Obviously, you don't keep scoring in scrimmage, but in the end, they probably got a little bit better of Wilson on that day. They look very strong. Bend, don't break, grind it out, grind it out, grind it out. Now, they've been putting up points, I know, to start the year, which surprised me a little bit just because the Wilson game was very defensive. But, when the season starts, defense usually goes ahead of the offense. But I expect Parkland to be the king of District 11. And, with the changes in playoffs, they get to go out west this year to try to get back to the state title game.
Yeah, very interesting with the new format. And then Pittsburgh Central Catholic there, Billy, at number 6.
Let's just go right to number 7, North Allegheny, because these two teams meet tonight, or this weekend. So, boy, oh boy, what a battle that's going to be out there. North Allegheny Coach Art Walker, he's got it going on. He's got that team playing some really good ball. He's got one heck of a set of athletes. And, of course, Central Catholic, they're always in it. They've got a big line. Like we said earlier, Central Catholic took it. They took it pretty good to Cathedral Prep. But this is a monumental battle, and one of our own reporters, AJ, out in District 7, he'll be at that game, and he'll have live reports all night long on PFN and on WesternPAFootball.net. So that's a monumental battle, and that's going to decide who is number 6 and who is number 7 out there right now.
Interesting. North Penn here from District 1. Just a traditional powerhouse, Daryl. Out of District 1.
Yeah, when I was in Coatesville 2 years ago, we played those guys in the district semifinal, District 1. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I know the North Penn do. I think they're undefeated whenever they play home games in the district playoffs. So they're tough to beat. I know they had a down year last year, according to their standards, but if they're back, again, with Garnet Valley out there, North Penn is going to be tough to beat. So Coatesville has to stay on track to make sure they get that home game, because you're going down there on that grass field. You got to play against those elements, that high grass. But they're going to be very well coached. They're going to be prepared to play.
Yeah, and then we've got Central Dauphin at number 9. Very familiar team. Both Joe and I have seen Central Dauphin this season. What do you think about Central Dauphin so far, Joe?
Yeah, and there's not much to say that hasn't already been said. You know, they're doing it with defense for sure, and they're just going to pound the rock on offense, eat up the clock, hopefully get a score, and they've been scoring like they did against Wilson. They scored defensively, and that was a huge change in the game momentum when they got that. You know, Wilson was at midfield, down just 3-0. They got that fumble, took it to the house. All of a sudden, instead of Wilson still having possession, CD's up 10-0, and you know. That Mid-Penn Conference is going to be brutal as always, but Central Dauphin right now with Cumberland Valley struggles. You know, still feeling out what's happening with Harrisburg and CD East. State College looks really strong, but Central Dauphin, you know, they've earned their way into this top 10. You know, entering the year, like I said, they were maybe an honorable mention or not being mentioned at all. So I think Central Dauphin is an early season storyline for a bit of a surprise team. Like I said, a lot of people think that they're peaking maybe a year early. They thought maybe 2019 was going to be the year. Well, 2018 is definitely looking pretty good for the Rams.
Right, and I think that this might be a little bit of a stretch, but if you think about that Baltimore Ravens team in 2001, when they played defense and the offense just managed the game, they didn't turn the ball over too often. That's what I see Central Dauphin being. They're a team, they're very good on defense. They're sound fundamentally. They have athletes on the back end. Number 1 back there, I'm not sure what his name is, but he looked good back there at safety. He had great range. So they're going to be a tough team to beat because they understand who they are and they're going to be who they are. And I think they'll be back to their old Central Dauphin ways.
And they beat Berks Catholic without their starting quarterback. So
yes.
I mean, you know that's going to be a big plus for them. And then Bethlehem Freedom, you know, coming off the big win last week, you know, at number 10. So, Billy, wow, what do you think? Our first go-round with...
Let's talk about this 6-8 thing, Rich. I mean, let's look at the schedule. We know State College is going to play Central Dauphin. We have Central Catholic and North Allegheny this week. Bethlehem Freedom's got to play... They've got to play Bethlehem Catholic, who is a ranked team. I mean... Boy, I'll tell you what, the 6A is going to be a dogfight this year. It really is. North Penn, you know, I don't know where to go, you know, and also don't forget, Iron Richland is going to have to face Central Catholic and North Allegheny also. So those 3 teams right there beat the Gaylings out of each other all season long. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
And the fans can follow it all here on PFN all year long. We're going to have this segment on the rankings each week. Should be tremendous keeping track of all these great games. Billy, appreciate your time. And wow, can't wait till this weekend already.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be in with your picks for next week, but hey, we already talked about all the monster games that are going on out in Western PA. I mean, you've got Central Catholic, and they're going to play North Allegheny. That's a huge game. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of good games this weekend. So tune in to PAFootballNews.com. Check out WesternPAFootball.net also. We have about 52 games coming this weekend.
Amazing. So
we're going to be throwing out scores left and right. Right now, if you're on PFN, you can see our friend Psychotic at SYKOTYK is tweeting from an actual Wednesday night game. So let's get a score update on a Wednesday night, boys. Nativity BVM 28, Bucktail 6, and they are up in Renovo, out in God's country right now. So there's a score update on a Wednesday night.
Amazing.
Let me tell you about that. What happened there? Why they're playing on Wednesday night? St. Joe's Academy in State College decided not to have a team this year. So instead of trying to go out and find different teams to play and fill their schedule, 3 or 4 teams got together and said, hey, let's just play each other on a Wednesday night in a game situation, and that way next year we can bring a new team in or St. Joe's comes back. So we've got several Wednesday night games this year, guys.
Yeah, we've got a few Thursday night games out here, too. I know that at least in Berks County, we've got the Gridiron Classic here in Reading, and we're going to have some Thursday and Saturday games for you as well. So it's great to see the PIAA and these conferences and teams kind of spread the wealth out a little bit to give the fans a few more games to choose from. So, all right, Billy, thank you so much. We appreciate you checking in, and we can't wait for next week.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, thank you so much.
Take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye. Well, that was Billy Splain, our first go-round with the statewide rankings. Daryl, your thoughts?
Interested in 4A. I think it's very interesting 4A. Be interested to see what happens. Like you said earlier, with Archbishop, with the loss, still being number one. Some people may say, they had a loss, they shouldn't be number one. But we'll see how that unfolds as the season goes on. But I like the fact that a lot of these teams early are playing against top opponents. They're not making an easy schedule. They're getting tough opponents, and I call it getting war ready. They're getting ready for those playoffs and getting ready for down the road. So you have to play games like that. You can't wait and sit back on your hands and kind of hope that near the end of the season you're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, District 7, 6A, wow. I mean, it just gets me fired up looking at all these teams and looking at all the games down the road. Even the 4A bracket, boy, that is just a star-studded group. Just really interested in everything down the road. So thanks to Billy once again. Thanks for Joe for putting this all together. That's for sure. We're going to get to our picks now for this week, and we're going to bring Joe in for at least one game here. The first game, though, Bishop McDevitt, Middletown. You've got 4A versus 3A. Mid-Penn, not conference. They're not in the same conference, are they? Or they're not in the same division.
I'm not sure. I don't think they are.
But, McDevitt against Middletown, what do you got?
It's going to be tough because I've seen Middletown, and I've been with Bishop McDevitt all season. If Middletown can slow down that passing game, you got to go with Middletown because they're a grinding team. They're going to be a consistent team. It just comes down to the offensive defensive line play. So that's going to be a tough one to gauge. It depends on, I think if Bishop McDevitt is able to throw the ball, I think that's going to be in their favor. But if they're not, I think Middletown is going to be physical and be able to run the ball.
I like McDevitt in this game. I think that, just like you talked about, I think that they've got the edge at quarterback. I think they've got the edge throwing the ball. I think that's going to be the difference in the game. I think it's going to be a slugfest in the trenches, and I think that McDevitt wins on the arm of Teal. Yeah, I like him a lot. All right. Wow. I mean, what can you say? Warwick, Manheim Central. You got to pick. You got to pick one. Who you got?
This is going to be a tough one, but I think Manheim Central is going to win a close game. I think Flick is going to get a big run at the end of the game for them to win by 10. I think it'll be Manheim Central by 10, but they have Will Rivers. I really like what he can do at corner. I like the Twins out there. I like that defensive line. They're solid all the way across the board. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But I think Evan Simon, this is going to be a game where he's going to be able to step up. Because I think Warwick may be able to slow the run down. So then you put the ball in Evan Simon's hands. So it's almost like pick your poison.
I'm picking Warwick. I mean, I picked them to win the Section 1 title. I just think, you get in these teams and it's their year. And this is Warwick's generational team. And and people sense that. I think teams sense that. Coaches definitely sense that. And so that's why I'm going with Warwick. I think that's a team that's going to come out of this game with some momentum and is going to continue on to that Section 1 title there in the LM. All right, we're going to bring Joe in on this one because we got Springford coming into. They're playing at Wilson, are they not, Joe?
Yeah, it is at Gursky for sure.
And this has been a big new rival for Wilson now since I guess the offensive coordinator move from Wilson to go to be the head coach or one of the coordinators?
Yeah, Chad Brubaker was a long-time Wilson assistant. He was there for a long time. You know, he was with Contapio, transitioned to Doms, and this is actually his 9th year as a Springford head coach. And he brought a lot of that early 2000s flavor from the Wilson Bulldogs under Jim Contapio with him to Springford. You know, they run the spread offense. They're usually dynamic on that side of the ball. They had an incredibly strong team in 2015, 2016. They lost a bunch to graduation last year, struggled some, and they lost even more to graduation now entering this year. But they rebounded really well. They're 2-0 on the season. They're coming in off a victory over a team from New Jersey last week, 31-21, and you know, they get to come to Gursky where they visited 2 years ago and lost in double overtime when they decided to go for 2 and were stopped inches from the conversion for the Wilson victory. So, you know, obviously they want to see a Rams victory over the Bulldogs for their head coach. You know, it's always fun to beat an old employer, an old team of yours, and they haven't been able to do it in the first 2 meetings, and they'll try again this Friday night at Gursky.
Right. And Joe, what's the quarterback's name over there, Springford, the guy that does a great job over there?
Well, it was Pergine or Pergine. He left last year. He was a multi-year starter for them. I don't know off the top of my head who took over from him this year, but yeah, it was TJ. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. I think it was TJ Pergine. Right. He was an incredible player as a junior in 2016, and then he was the leader of that team in 2017. So he is sorely missed. But hey, they're off to a 2-0 start. Right, so it's a great beginning of the season for them.
Right. I think it's going to be tough. You know, Wilson has to. I know they have Avante over there, but replacing, like you said earlier in the broadcast, replacing Nick Johnson. You know, the heart and soul of that defense. You know, find somebody that can step up in that spot. They have guys over there, so I'll be interested to see what they do at that position, because you know you're going to need to be able to stop the run first, and then of course Springford is going to definitely throw the ball.
Yeah, it's going to come down to Greg Smith is the guy. Now he was playing next to Nick Johnson, so Greg Smith will take over as the leader inside, and I expect to see Avante Lockhart in there a little bit as he's been shuffling around at linebacker, and also sophomore Coper has been getting number 55. He's been playing inside there, so there's a little rotation there, and they're allowed to do that, or they're able to do that, I should say, because Avante is able to play linebacker and running back because of kind of Elijah Morales stepping up and really filling in on offense, being able to take some of those carries at running back and leaves Avante fresh to play a little defense.
Definitely. Okay.
And quite honestly, I like Springford in this game. I think that, you know, Nick Johnson, and, you know, you probably know better than I, but boy, he sure looked like he was the heart and soul of that team this year. And for him to go down, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where Wilson gets that leadership. Joe probably, like I said, Joe knows better than I, but boy, as somebody from the outside looking in, he's going to be a hard guy. Forget about the position. I mean, I felt, you know, he hurts the passing game because he was a really good tight end.
Right, definitely.
And that leadership role that he had with that team. So I'm going with Springford. We got a very interesting game. Red Lion and Chambersburg. Undefeated Chambersburg. I think it was I don't know, I saw something, first time since 1995 they were undefeated or something like that. Really happy for them. Met those coaches and players, you know, at the Mid-Penn Media Day. Well, I like Chambersburg there. I think that's another team that, you know, it's on a roll, but they're going up against Red Lion, who historically has been, like, you know, one of those teams out of the York Adams. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Red Lion will probably get the win there. Like I said, Chambersburg is slowly turning that program around, but I'm going to go with Red Lion.
And we're all going to pick this one here. I'm going to start with Joe. Manheim Township at Central Dauphin. Boy, an early, big intersectional clash here of two undefeated teams. What do you think, Joe?
You said it's at Central Dauphin, or it's at
Central Dauphin. At Central Dauphin.
All right. Wow. Both teams have played incredibly well defensively. I'm shocked to see the Manheim Township score over Dallastown just a few days ago. Everyone said Manheim Township had their generational team last year, and they were building up to maybe another one next year, and this was kind of going to be a transition year. But so far, they've looked pretty strong against CD East and Dallastown. Now they get to take on Central Dauphin back at Landis, second time in less than 3 weeks. I haven't seen Manheim Township yet, but I've seen Central Dauphin play, and I think after getting the better of them twice last year, I think Central Dauphin's going to rebound and hold Manheim Township, and the Rams are going to start 3-0 and drop Township to 2-1.
Wow. What do you think, Daryl?
Yeah, I'm thinking Central Dauphin will play the field position battle, but I keep thinking about Harry Kirk. I got to see him play. I got to see Manheim Township. The offensive line was solid. The defensive line was. But I think Central Dauphin is going to play the field position battle. They play really good in the secondary, but Manheim Township has a 6'3" receiver, those two guys. But I think Central Dauphin is going to play that field position battle, and they win the game 14-10.
I've seen both of these teams this year. Quite honestly, I think the Central Dauphin is just going to overpower Manheim Township in the trenches. Township had an injury on the offensive line against CD East, one of their starters. But boy, I just think that CD's got too much up front, and I think that they're going to get their starting quarterback back this week. So I really like Central Dauphin, and I like them comfortably. So I think that's it for the pick section. I think that just about does it for the new and improved version of Fresh Set of Downs for this week. I can't thank Joe Mays enough for the effort in putting this together in a matter of a day or two. All the graphics for Billy, all of the rankings. My partner here, Daryl. I mean, all we did is really show up.
Yeah.
And really the hard work was really Joe, Billy. Thanks to Kerry Moyer, my tag team partner on Friday Night Live. We've got Berks Catholic and McDonough on Friday night. We'll be on at 6:50. Don't miss it, gang. It's going to be a classic battle. For Daryl Daniel, this is Bruce Badgley. We'll see you next week, 7 o'clock Wednesday, here on Fresh Set of Downs. Take care.
Episode of PAFootballNews.com's Fresh Set of Downs. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at PA Football News, at Badgley Bruce, at Double D Stokes 124, and at Coach Joe Mays. We'll return once again when those Friday night lights are ready to get switched back on.